real. Like it's only begun to finally register, you know, that it's like, it's actually out. I've spent so much time being like, this is the maybe show. Oh, this is the show that maybe pilot. Oh, okay, pilot good, maybe series. Oh, series good, eventually comes out, you know? Like since 2020, February. Yeah, so it's literally 2 years. I've been saying 1 year as if it were, like I can't even comprehend that it's been 2 years. How far will Sam go? I think that'll be the surprise. I mean, it's called Good Sam, though we start to see some, as the value goes up for like how important this is to her, how this becomes life-defining, how this is something that she's willing to put so many things on the line for. We start begging the question like, was that worth losing for the position? And Sam starts to question whether or not she's losing basically her goodness and trying to get what she wants. It kind of almost feels political in that way. Joey is extraordinarily dedicated, almost to a fault. And in a way, he relates very much then to both Griff and Sam, almost more to Griff in that way, because the first half of the season, we see Joey ready to do any surgery, completely prepared, studying, knowing everything inside and out. But to the extent where he's almost bullying the others to be there, you know, he wants to be first and he doesn't care what it's going to take to do it. And it starts to bite him in the ass. So he has to make a choice. He has to either decide that the way he's been thinking is correct and that it's worth losing his friends, potentially ruining his relationship because the job matters the most, or is he going to learn that maybe he needs to relook at his relationships and start to revisit them as something that is good for him and that won't sacrifice his ultimate goals. And that's like the choice that he has to make, at least halfway through. The biggest challenge is about actually being accurate and relaying an accurate portrayal of these real heroes. Where our society, like how bizarre to be making this show. Of course, doctors and firefighters and police officers and I mean, every job has an essential function in our society. But right now we're seeing more than ever how it's our healthcare providers in our system and our workers that are putting their lives on the line and getting now, especially this way, getting sick and being unable to go to work to help other people with this highly contagious disease. So unfortunately, it's not just me, it's the others too that are like, we want to make sure that we are as honorably specific as possible so that we're not just one other show where they're just like rolling their eyes being like, oh, they wouldn't do that. And we understand that there's certain things that we have to do for TV that maybe isn't specific, you know, to real life. But at least we're aware of it at almost at every stage. We're like, okay, like, should this be on or off? Should our hands be doing this or that? Should we, how tired would we be during this scene? How long? We're asking questions that are about really being behind the mind of our healthcare workers while also allowing the drama to take place as well. Love it. I mean, I got a Bachelor of Science in college. I love polysyllabic Latin derived words, and also being like Latino and speaking Portuguese and learning Espanol, like it's all there. Like even certain diseases like thrombosis is like it's like more medical in like blood clots, you know, like most people don't know thrombosis, but in Portuguese, that is literally the word. Thrombosis is like the term for it. So, and also ultimately like looking things up is such a trip. Like the other night I was like, the ST, I was trying to take care of someone that was almost had hypothermia, and I was reading about the ST segment. It's like, what is that? But it's so fun to then look it up and then have like these pictures with graphs. And now like, this isn't like YouTubing science things when I was in high school. This is like, there's so much like really amazing CGI for everything, you know? So I'm learning about the human being while doing this show and being able to talk about it as an authority. But like, at the end of the day, I walk away with like a new vocabulary and a new understanding of these like processes that we're depicting for everybody on TV. So it's fun. It's really a lot of fun. para ter esse diálogo em português em vez de inglês next time. Podemos hablar español también. Yo necesito sacar un poquito del, ¿cómo se dice? El rust de mi español, pero podemos hablar también en español en vez de portugués o en inglés si quieres. En español o en inglés? No, I'm kidding. No, I'll tell you. My greatest accomplishment, man. Honestly, I feel so grateful to be, my career track has always felt like this year I've done things that I've never accomplished the year before, and the years before. Like over the last, since I've moved to LA, honestly, it's felt like I can always look back and be like, wow, I never did this kind of show before. I never did a cable show. I never did a superhero show. I never did like a big budget streaming show in New York City. You know, I never did a show at a studio where I was like closing down blocks of like Manhattan. Oh, now I like never did a network show. So like it's littered with accomplishments. I never got to play close to self because I'm always playing like big characters or like funny characters, and then getting to do that with like Tell Me a Story or Power Rangers or this, shooting in New York at Coffin Astoria Studios where I grew up, around the corner from the studio, always looking at it being like, oh, one day I hope to work there. And then getting like booking a job in Los Angeles and looking at like, where's it filmed? In Queens? In Astoria? You know? So I've just been blessed by every time. And now like getting to play my first like real professional on screen, and it's someone who's intelligent and comes from this scientific background. It's and on CBS as well, which I have a little bit of experience with CBS All Access, but now like the network, it's like just one accomplishment. Personally, it feels like it's one accomplishment after the other, and for that I'm just very, very grateful. Yeah. I would love to do a period piece. I think is like the next step. You know, being like. The closest thing to a period piece was like doing Menendez Brothers and seeing like that my childhood is like no longer modern. There's no contemporary. You know, with like the 1993 is like big hair, giant cameras, you know, and it's like that's cool. That was cool. But like I want like 1860s, 1870s, 1920s, 1930s, the 50s, you know, like the street covered in like those old cars and the outfits. Something like that, or even if it's like a biopic, but in that period, would be something riquísimo to do, and it would be a really next step as well. I have two potential projects in that period of time, but until things are set in stone, I kind of just I like being hands off about it, you know. And also like potential travels as well. I mean, we would have been doing this for 6 months, so it'll be nice if I have some time afterwards, and if the world permits it and we're not in like another peak, it'll be really nice to get out, because I find that very rewarding creatively and it's like spiritually to explore, to be out. So then when I come back, there's this like new fever and passion and hunger. So possibilities. We have possibilities for April, basically. Hey, I'm Davi Santos, and you can find me on Good Sam at 10 p.m. on CBS.